letting people in, or somebody is, because I'm not. I've been chatting. Somebody's letting people in.
Do you want to make a minute or?
I would give it just another minute, I think, just to make sure.
Hey, Kurt, before we get started, I want to thank you for getting back to me about getting where to ride down there near you. I never got back to you a second time, and we didn't end up going, but thank you anyway.
No, you're very welcome.
We ended up going up in Lamoille County and Franklin County. But
I didn't even make it up north this year. Went up down here a bunch of times, but unfortunately didn't get north. You know, but it was a decent season for what we had. Everybody did an amazing job.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Thank you, Beth. Beth just reminded us that we are live on YouTube.
All right, it's about 6:01 p.m. We'll start the meeting. Is somebody keeping track of who is on for the visitors?
Yes, Cindy Brown's here and listening, and I'll just start taking down some notes as well.
All right.
You have Louis Barnes Addison down?
Yes, Louis.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
He should sleep tonight. That freaking dog has done nothing but run and play all day long.
All right. I'd like a motion to approve the agenda.
Addison County.
Washington County seconds, Addison County move to approve the agenda.
Any additions or changes to the agenda for this evening's meeting? All right. Here, none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor of approving the agenda for tonight, say aye.
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 Those against, nay. Motion carries. Secretary's report. We've got some wicked background noise too. Somewhere.
I think Louis has to mute.
Secretary's report. There we go. Secretary's report. I trust everybody's had a chance to review it. Like a motion on it.
Rutland County will make a motion to accept.
Chittenden seconds.
Yes. Thank you. Any corrections or changes to the February 22nd meeting minutes?
Who was the second, please?
Chittenden County.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
All right, hearing none, we'll take it to a vote. All those in favor of approving the secretary's report as presented, say aye or wave your hand.
Aye.
Those against, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Treasurer's report, Patty.
I'm here. Okay. So this is through February. So we're about 41, almost 42% of our season when we look at the numbers in comparison to where we should be with our budget. So again, membership is always a hot one. So we start with that. We're budget about 2.4. Well, the month of February, we did 420K came in. And we went above or 2.7 for the season through February. So we're up about 275,000, or we're at 111% of what we expected as far as our goes. God bless you. Overall income though, so 3.2 is the budget. Again, 450 was the income. A majority of that again came from the membership, and we're a little over 300 income for the season. So through February, we're at a negative of 253, or we're at 92% of the income. So even though we're ahead on membership, we're still behind on some other items, just to level set that. Okay. Very high level. And then expenses. So the budget's, I'm rounding here, 2.8. So for February is 144,000 in expenses, of which 61 was from trail, of which of the 61, 56K was for grooming, and 3,800 was for trail signage. So through the season, as of February, it was 808K in expenses. Our budget is a little over 2 million. So we're at 29% of our budgets, but I will tell you, March, of our budget expenses, March was, we got some big expenses coming in. Thank you, Matt. So we'll be seeing some of that hit in next month's report. Just in general, Joe, the trails budget is 1.7 million. So far in the season, we've only used 343,000 of that, or 19% of that budget. So that's where we're at.
All right, I'd accept a motion.
Washington County moves to accept the treasurer's report.
We get a second?
Wyndham County.
I heard Wyndham County first. All right, was there any questions anybody had for Patty on the budget for this month?
I don't, Tim?
Yes, go ahead, Carmen.
I don't have a question for Patty, but I have a question for Cindy. This is from a while back for some reason. When we started doing the club compliance, portion of it, kind of getting that set up to help, and I know there's clubs still working on that. Were we trying to also get the counties in the same setup?
Well, that's a good question, Carmen. We did talk about the counties. Some of the directors brought up the fact that maybe counties should be included in this. We certainly will offer the service to the county, but they have not been added to the audit, the audit pick that we have. But if there's a county that would like to be helped.
Well, I guess my question is, are counties supposed to be filing taxes?
If they are collecting money, then yes.
Okay. I guess that's what it's coming down to.
Yeah, I think it's a question for Bonnie. So if Lamoille County wants to find out if they should be, they should, someone from the county, you or someone else should send me information and I'll get you in contact with Bonnie. Because I think that there's laws on how much you collect depends on then what you have to report out and what you have to do.
I have her contact information because the Eden stuff has now been put on my plate to follow through with. So I have all of her information. So I will reach out to her, but I just, it came up and I thought I had it written down. So I want to make sure I asked it tonight. So, okay, that's perfect. Thank you. Thanks, Tim.
And Carmen, if you want to CC me or CC myself and Sheila, so that way we have a record. It doesn't matter if you want to or not. We're not keeping tabs, but that way if we can help, we're sort of caught up on the process.
Okay, got it.
All right, is there any other questions related to the budget item that we're at hand with?
Yeah, I missed the piece on the 92% of income at this point. I know she explained it, but some other noise going on.
Yeah, we're at 92%, so we're short about 253K. That does not include March numbers yet. So for any TMAs that were sold in March, and also we're short on, and I covered this last month, on the 90K from media and communications, which I believe most of that is advertisement, Cindy, if I'm correct. So we're not seeing that money, so that might be where the shortfall might fall as well. But that usually, you said, I think July, August is when we usually see those numbers come in.
Yeah, the majority of it comes in July, August. I don't know how affected we'll be by COVID. Obviously, we've lost a lot of advertising, so we might come in at half of that, what's due in. But we do have other bits of income that come in that then go out. Like, for instance, like some of the stuff we do with the National Forest are billed out at other times of year as well. So that's a come in, go out kind of thing. It's even, but it still shows up as income.
Okay, so you're looking at that difference between the 90,000 and the 8,500 is what you're talking about there.
Primarily, that's the big nut of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
There's other things there, but that was one of the ones I pointed out last month. Yes.
Okay, that answers that too. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Patty on the budget process before we vote on it? All right, hearing none, we'll take it to vote. All those in favor of approving the budget presentation for this month as presented, say aye or wave your hand.
Aye.
Those against, nay? Motion carries. Thank you, Patty. There are no tabled items. There's nothing on the consent calendar. There's no real old business. New business, TMA update, Cindy.
Yeah, so at this point, I just refreshed the report. We're a little over 24,000. We're at 24,175. That's for all TMAs. So that includes the free ones too, but that's the total, and that's what we usually give the total on, is for everything. So we're about 3,500 over last year for TMAs. So that's really good. We actually sold the TMA on Friday. Don't ask me what it was. It just, Sheila mentioned that it had come through. So it might've just been a weekend, 3-day, but.
You have last year's number, Cindy?
She froze, I think.
He lost it.
She's froze.
Let's just give her a minute, see if it comes back around.
Tim, is that 3,500 over last year? That's as of today?
Yes, I believe the report was as of today.
Thanks.
Yep.
And that's what I was asking, Mike, what was last year's number? One of the advantages of doing it online is we get instantaneous data. Or else we'd be waiting for this until the end of May.
Yeah, no, this is pretty awesome. Yeah, she just logged off. She's gonna come back in, I'd say. There she is.
Sorry.
No, that's all right. We patiently waited. Nobody said anything bad.
Well, I pay the big bucks now, so I'm not supposed to be bumped off anymore.
I just asked Cindy if you had last year's number.
I actually don't, Mark, but it was 21 something, I believe. I don't have it in front of me. If someone else has it, I apologize.
I don't happen to.
Yeah, I never do.
Yeah, I am.
Do the math.
Yeah, and I'll be getting
500
those
over.
reports out too that show this year and last year, like we've been doing. There's just been a few hiccups in keeping that going, but I know clubs are interested too, because, we have some clubs that gained membership this year, and not just because of just the increased ridership because of the snow, but we've also had clubs that decreased. So we've got some clubs that have been financially very much impacted in both ways because of going online. And so just wanted to put that out there, that it's not just this rosy picture for everybody. There's some clubs that have been adversely affected by going online.
Cindy, are you going to send out the other reports with the county and the club numbers?
Yep, I will. I just made a note of that, Pat. I'll make sure you guys get that this week.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else have any questions for Cindy on the TMA update? All right, we'll move on. Act 250 and Trails Alternative Program update, Cindy.
All right, so the Trails and Greenways Council met today. We have decided to not accept an alternative program. It's turned into even more of a larger program than Act 250 is itself. We think like a bunch of people just went to town on this thing, and it's not even just the trail organizations. There's even conservation organizations that have voiced their opinion that they're not happy with the alternative program that was produced by ANR and FPR and sent to the governor. So we met today, and we will be
I don't think her new internet connection is worth the price she's paying.
If she can get back.
That's a fact.
Mark, I think last year's TMA numbers total was 22,569.
That's
That
what
was
I
from-
thought too.
That was last month's report, so that wouldn't necessarily match up with her increase.
Right.
But would that have been a total for the year as compared to roughly this time, maybe, or?
No, that was a
Well,
total for the year.
Total for the year, but
year.
yeah, that was total for the year, which
Yeah.
last
I
year
thought
was
it
kind of one
closer
and
to
the same.
1,500.
Yeah.
Either way, it's positive news.
Yep. Y'all good, Cindy? Oh,
I want to just turn your camera off, I guess.
yeah.
There's Blake.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn my camera off. I'm not sure what's going on because I have great service usually now. I have no problems with meetings except for tonight. So can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep, now I can.
Okay, I apologize. I was going on and on about Act 250 and then I realized you were all frozen.
We were.
No, you were the one that was frozen.
I know. So I don't know what you heard, but
I think the last we heard was that you were talking about even some conservation groups were upset with the proposal.
yes. So what we're going to do now is go back and just try to codify, fix a few things within Act 250, Rule 71, and defining a project directly with the NRB was the suggestion from the governor's office. I actually spoke to the governor's office twice last week. That's where we're at.
So does that mean that they've scuttled their plan?
No, it's just that no one wants to do it. Everyone is against it. So for them to move forward with a plan that no one would opt into or be for, I don't think that they would dare try to enforce something like that. I mean, there's no way to force everybody into it, and there's not anyone that wants to do it at the level that they proposed.
I bet. Sorry, my telephone rang from home.
Okay.
Like one of the last people to have a landline still. All right. Did anybody else have any questions for Cindy on the Act 250 show? No. All right, we'll move on. Trails Administrator report, ED report, LVRT report. I'm trusting everybody had a chance to read them. Did anybody have any questions that they had for either Ken, Matt, or Cindy on the items listed on it? Was there anything that you didn't feel was not touched in the reports? All right, we'll move on. Committee and other meeting reports. Northeast Chapter, Pat and Jeff. Anything new?
The newest thing is the Northeast Chapter will be holding its annual meeting on the 24th, which is Wednesday, in lieu of going to Congress this year. So we'll be meeting in the evening. It usually is about an 8-hour meeting. We'll see how it goes.
Maybe a little
I
rough.
thought it was going to be in the afternoon. No, it's in the evening.
I believe so. Yeah, it's on a Wednesday.
Okay.
Is it a Zoom meeting or live?
It is Zoom. Go to meeting, but yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
7 to 11, I think.
Is it 11? Guess I had to pay attention, huh?
I think it's 7 to 11 is what I saw.
Oh, 7 to 11, yeah.
Hope you have a comfy chair, guys.
All right, thanks, Pat. Snow Trails Conservancy, Jim?
Nothing.
Nothing new. All right, thanks. Law Enforcement Committee, Gary. Cindy, do you have anything that you would know Gary's into?
Nope.
All right. LVRT, Ken, anything that wasn't discussed in the report you feel you want to touch on, or are we good?
I think we're good.
All right, thank you. Awards and nominating, Patty?
We got 7 applications for scholarships the committee is going through now. And again, my monthly reminder, awards and recognition nominations are due May 1st.
Thank you, Patty. Bylaws, policy, Jeff?
Nothing right now. Gonna start looking at stuff case we need to make changes for annual meeting.
All righty. Speaking of that, that's up next. Pat or Jeff, anything to add over last month?
Don't know what we did last month, but we've got the field reserved in Waterbury. We've got the tent rental squared away. We've got food squared away. We've got sound system squared away. And pretty much going to be duplicate of last year. But if we don't need social distancing, we probably have room for 300 people. So.
Nice. All right. Thanks, Jeff. Executive committee. There isn't one running right now. Financials, Patty, you've pretty much touched on everything that we had going there. Long range planning. Mark, do you have anything you'd like to update on?
We're going to be meeting to go over the online TMA system, see what improvements we can. That's all. I just haven't set a date for that. We'll also be talking more about our insurance situation in the next month.
All right. Thanks, Mark. Resource committee. Is there anything that you'd like to report, Ivor?
Yeah, we're about halfway through a meeting with counties. It's going good. Patty's helping us with the organizing and scheduling of it, which is great. And yeah, so we'll just keep compiling data. And the three of us are myself, Ellis, and Perry are going to get together probably after our next county meeting and just get together and consolidate what we've got for information so far. And then we'll move on to the rest of the meetings, and then we'll get to work on all the data after that.
You have a time frame on when you might have a recommendation to the board or to the Trails Committee?
We're hoping before grooming season of this coming year.
Thank you.
Or sooner.
All right. Thanks, Ivor. Personnel, Jeff?
Nothing.
Nothing. Trails, Jeff?
We postponed this month's meeting to next month, April 19th, I think is where it falls. And basically what was in Matt's report is kind of what's on the docket.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. Safety, Stan?
Yeah, we did have enough for a quorum this month. We discussed some things about some alternate methods of having safety courses. And Roger did report that the first helicopter landing zone sign has been put in place. And there's interest from other clubs for some signage as well. And that's about it. We have another meeting scheduled on the 19th of April as well.
Different platform, different Zoom account?
What's that?
For the April 19th meeting.
We're at different times.
Different times. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Dan. Governor's Council, Pat?
The Governor's Council's got a few irons in the fire. Cindy wants us to look at commerce trails. So I got a few questions for Matt, and he answered those. So we're also going to be looking at some possible legislative changes for next year with commerce trails.
Define commerce trail, please.
Good question. It's a trail that allows, it's a section of the legislation that allows other states to come into Vermont without a TMA.
Yep.
To the first service point.
Okay. Thank you.
And also for us to go to their businesses.
Okay, that's the point.
Yeah, it's like a safety issue. It's not a tourism issue. It's more of a, if you need to get to a service, it goes to like the first service. So if you
get to
gas,
a fuel.
like Mike up in Canaan, if you need gas, you cross into Canaan so you can get gas. Now there happens to be a restaurant right there as well. You can cross into New Hampshire. There's a restaurant and a store across the way. So they were instituted for way back when. But there's some people that want us to like make it so they can go even farther into services and motels, but that wasn't why Commerce Trails were started. You know, the way New Hampshire and Vermont feel is that they should be supporting those local clubs that do all the work by, if they're going to want to go past those emergency services.
Absolutely.
So basically in statute right now, there's some trails that really don't exist anymore that are listed in statute as commerce trails. So we just need to clean up some of those and then add some of the other ones that are actually commerce trails. The thing that we ran into this year is that when commerce trails were started, it was before we had liability insurance laws in the state of Vermont. So I had a question from a landowner in southern Vermont.
And she's froze.
You're back.
Okay, so I had a question from a landowner in Massachusetts regarding our insurance policies. If people are coming from Massachusetts, they're not insured, and Vermont requires that. So that's something that the Governor's Council is going to be talking about.
Okay.
And the other thing is education. Online education numbers exceeded last year's by several hundred, so we're up around 1,700. We don't have an official count yet because the administrative person was out at our last meeting, so hopefully we'll get one this time.
Nice. Anybody have any questions for Pat?
Pat, I'm wondering if you can, what's the deal with this whole current use tax thing? It's on the last part of the report, it says clubs in the region are asking about current use tax breaks for property owners who allow snowmobiles access. Vast question is how to fund it. The mountain bike community is also interested in this current use idea. If it's in a current use, wouldn't that be going to the actual landowner? And wouldn't that be up to the state to make that decision as like a tax break on their taxes? Or like, why would VAS be involved in that? I guess I'm trying to understand that a little bit.
Just clubs were curious if we thought about going and trying to use current use as a tax break, you know, an additional tax break beyond what they're currently getting for current use for snowmobile trails. And yeah, we've poked at that bear many, many times. And everybody thinks it's a great idea to compensate landowners or reward landowners for allowing recreation on their trails. But current use has nothing to do currently with recreation.
Okay. That's what I thought. So.
Well, there's some guidelines. I have some land in current use, and there's some guidelines that would not allow a majority of the properties to be in. One of them's including acreage.
Well, right, that's what I mean, and what I'm trying to say though, like I'm not quite sure we don't have the power, or VAS doesn't have to do that. That has to be something done to change, that has to be in legislation, there has to be a change to that current use program before that would be able to happen. So it's not really in our hands.
Oh yeah, but we initiate some legislative changes in case you've forgotten.
And we're not, current use is an example. It wasn't that we should do this in current use. It was an example of something that's already done to benefit landowners is current use, the program. What has been talked about for the last 30 years is how can we give a benefit to landowners that host recreation trails similar to current use is the conversation. And it would certainly absolutely have to be legislative, but many people have tried. But it doesn't mean that you can't keep knocking at that door, I guess.
The biggest thing is everybody thinks it's a great idea, but how do you fill that bucket of money? Anything you give away creates a hole someplace.
And then you also have to deal with the indemnification because landowners are not supposed to be compensated for the use of their property. So it's a big nut But there's a new legislator from Orleans County who's very interested in pursuing some sort of landowner benefit for opening up trails. He's actually a new senator for that county.
All right. Anybody have any other questions for Pat, the Governor's Council? All right. Thanks, Pat. Is there anything anybody else would like to bring before the board this meeting tonight?
I have two quick things.
There's just one.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Bruce.
Go ahead. I wanted to ask Jeff, is the bridge inventory sheet going to be coming out soon? A lot of clubs in our county have been interested in getting one filled out.
Yeah, I'll send out the latest version of that. I thought I already had, but must be I didn't. So I will get that out to the Trails Committee tonight, actually. I can do that right after the meeting.
Okay, thanks. Go ahead, Cindy.
Drew has resigned from the board. And Tim, you talked to Ivor? And Ivor's there, so you're both
I
here.
have spoken to Ivor. Yep. Yep. Would you like to expand on your thoughts, Ivor, or?
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to talk to anybody yet, but I would like to find somebody from the Dover area to fill the director's seat. That's a really busy area in Vermont for snowmobiling, and they're relatively inactive in this process. So as soon as I get a chance to, I will contact a couple of the people down there and see if they're willing to do it.
Yep. Just to enlighten everybody, Drew, his lifestyle, his life, and his work have changed lately. He's now working out of Connecticut quite a bit. He's not in the area, and his interests are more focused in that region. He's probably going to be headed that direction sooner than later. He enjoyed his time with VAST. He wrote a very nice resignation letter. He enjoyed the time that he spent with us and the friends that he made, but unfortunately his future did not include VAST and his ability to maintain a position he had.
He's got himself a great girl down there, and I think he's following his heart, which is good.
Yep.
He was a good man.
Yep. Sad to see him go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Best of luck to you, brother.
So the only other thing I have, you guys know I don't spend any time on Facebook, but I happened to jump on this afternoon, and it's not to say I don't pay attention. I've got people that send me stuff that I need to look at that's on there, but I happened to see that Yvonne and Ronnie Rice lost their son on March 18th. And so I know many of you have commented on their page. Very, very sad. And just want to extend our thoughts and prayers to Yvonne and Ronnie and their family. And we'll certainly be sending a card and things like that from the VAST office. But just, you know, everybody knows Yvonne and Ronnie. And anyway, just very, very, very sad. Young man, tragic loss. So
that's terrible. Sorry to hear that.
36. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. I notified all the Windsor County folks as well, Cindy.
Thank you. That's all I have, Tim.
All right. Is there anything else anybody'd like to discuss before we take a motion in a second to adjourn?
Yeah, I have one question for Cindy.
Thank you for notifying us, Patty.
Go ahead, Bruce.
Oh, I was reading the notes and I noticed that there were 4 accidents over the course of this season. One was a fatality and there were 3 others. Is there any news on any of them, or it's just a stat that was reported?
No, so the fatality was recently, and it was a woman. It was down in the Mount Holly area, and Kurt went out and took pictures of the trail. And the state police took pictures. The other accidents were just in different parts of the state, but the one fatality, their police report hasn't completely come back. but we don't think that any substance was, we really think it was just an inexperienced rider, and maybe fatigue. She was not a snowmobiler. She was she and her husband out for the day. They weren't going fast. It was in a corner. This corner was signed, and it was after a straightaway. You could see the corner coming up ahead. So we're not really sure what happened. It's just a tragic loss. But we don't compile all the accidents. We just, when we hear about them, we talk about them quite a bit in the Governor's Council.
Right. And that's a discussion that's ongoing at the Governor's Council, is that there is no law in the state of Vermont that says law enforcement must investigate an accident. There's also nobody who is gathering the data or compiling accident data in the state of Vermont. So if you have an accident, you're required, if you have an injury or $500 damage, to file a report with the police. DMV will keep those. They have a spreadsheet in the main office, and that's, I think 2 years ago they had 6 accidents reported. So they don't even report out.
So one thing that we're talking about with the law enforcement committee, and then it will move on to the Governor's Council, is educating other police departments that do respond to snowmobile accidents and giving them information on ways to review those scenes when they happen. Because as we know, like in Morrisville, when that accident happened, the responders were not snowmobilers. It was Morrisville PD, who now are working with VAST. They were actually patrolling this weekend. So we're talking about putting together some sort of program that we can send out to these smaller police departments and sheriffs that don't necessarily work directly with VAST, that might respond to a snowmobile accident in lieu of state police. Like guidelines.
Yeah, it makes good sense.
Anybody have any questions on what Cindy said? All right, thank you, Cindy. Is there anything else anybody'd like to discuss this evening before we adjourn? All right, hearing nothing, I'd entertain a motion in a second.
Rutland County, I'll make a motion.
Washington second.
Second. Thank you. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Those against, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, everybody. We appreciate it very much.
37 minutes. Nice.
That's a record.
I was gonna say, that's gotta be.
It is. All right. Bye, everybody. Thanks for all you do.